Hello everyone, I am back. Again, I am Lily of Lily's Book Reviews. If you like what you see, make sure you like and subscribe. I am going to go over my books that I read in March and give you a brief description of what they were about and my reviews, like ratings, 5 stars, 4 stars, stuff like that. And yeah, so let's get into it. First book was Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm getting better at pronouncing her name, I think. Still might be wrong. But it was it was an exact sequel or part of the Kingdom of the Wicked series that I read, but it is kind of related to that. The Kingdom of the Wicked was YA. This one is specifically an adult romance. This one had to deal with the Prince of Envy, and he was having issues with his court, and he was trying to fix it and repair it without any of his brothers finding out what was going on. He was also in the middle of a game with Feylord, I think it was, one of them. And the book was pretty good because it had it where you kind of like kept wondering what was going on with his court, because it like didn't tell you, it just told you something was going on and you didn't know. And then the game, you didn't know what was going on with that. You didn't know what he was playing for, what the main prize was, all that. But he ends up needing help from what he assumes is a human woman by the name of Camilla. And she is an artist who took over for her father, his art shop. And Envy goes and is seeking her to paint this specific object that he needs to complete part 1 of his task. And she doesn't want to help at first. She's reluctant, wants nothing to do with it. And then she, in a sense, gets dragged into the game as well. And of course, they end up falling for each other, but there's lots of little twists and turns and information that you're trying to figure out. Like, again, what's going on with this court? What is the game? What are the stakes of the game? All that. So I gave that book 4 stars. It was really good, just not quite 5-star. I know the next one is coming out, I think in June for it. So I'm going to continue reading them, obviously. But that one's coming out soon, the next one. And then, after that, I did start Crescent City, The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This was a big book, like huge. This was just humongous. But that one, quick overview, is that there's a girl named Bryce. She lives in the city. In the first few chapters, she's talking about her life, her friends, all this stuff that she does. And then it takes a turn. Her best friend Danica gets murdered, along with her pack, by some mysterious creature that Bryce runs into and gets injured by as well. A couple years later, after her friend's murder, more murders are happening that are kind of similar. So their governor, I guess is what it was called, assigns this angel who's a slave, who basically is a slave because he started a rebellion to try to take over and like get rid of the hierarchy kind of stuff. He gets assigned with Bryce, who gets forced to help because, again, trying to figure out who killed Danica, why, all that. So they get together. There's, again, a lot of things going on in this story, a lot of like surprises and like what and how and why, all that. But basically, it does get solved at the end. There's a lot of action too near the end, and stuff like that, and it was just crazy. So I gave that one a 4-star. It was really good. It probably was closer to a 5, but I didn't want to give it a 5 because like something about 5 stars, they have to like speak to me in a way. So it was close to a 5, but not quite. So there's that. I have notes on the side, by the way, because a lot of these are either books that I got on the library or they were like digital ebooks, and I use my phone to read them. So Next one was an ebook, and it was called A Groom of One's Own. This one was by Emma St. Clair. It was a hockey romance. I like the little hockey ones kind of as well, or sports. But this one was about a hockey player. He had it where his visa was about to expire, but he like learned about it last minute, and so he only had like a few weeks or something, like a month maybe, I think it was, before he would have to go back to Canada. And the only way he could think of to stay like right away was to get married. So he ends up telling this girl that he knows at an animal shelter that he constantly visits, because apparently he loves animals but he can't get one because of his schedule and his mom. And so basically he asks her, and she agrees because her grandma is in a home and she needs money to help pay for it because she's the only one of her family that is left. So she has to make more money to pay the bills, but she can't because she's also trying to go to vet school. So she agrees. They end up finding out that they like each other, and they're getting ready for the wedding that they're pretending to be married or getting married and interested in each other and have been dating and all that. So they're like secretly lying, but they're getting married. So that one I gave a 4 stars. It was like a cute little book. It wasn't like super fast paced, but it wasn't like slow drag on either. And it's not one of those things that it makes like completely no sense, like it's exaggerated or anything. It made sense. It fit together. It went well. So I liked it. Next book that I read was Butcher and Blackbird. This one was one of my book of the month. This one was my January one. I put it off apparently for a while. But that one is about 2 serial killers who basically go around and they're killing other serial killers. So they're like justifying their killings by killing serial killers who kill others, if that makes sense. But somehow they meet each other. They get into this thing where they compete in a game to find a serial killer. Every year they'll get like information about like a place and stuff, where to go, and they have to find out who's the serial killer and like the names and all that, and like basically whoever kills them first wins. But then they have it like for a few years. They start falling for each other, getting interested, all that. There's a twist that like did not expect coming. There's a lot of trigger warnings in the beginning, and I won't lie, that's one thing that like I won't forget, is that the trigger warnings in the beginning of the book, definitely listen to them because they are true. In the beginning of the book, like the first like chapter or two, I was like, I don't know if I like this, but then it did get better. Some people didn't like the spicy scenes, which I can understand, but like someone said that it was like 30 pages long, and it really wasn't 30 pages long. So it's all dependent on whether you like serial killers, romance, spice kind of stuff. And again, the trigger warnings about like cookies and cream ice cream is one that I won't ever forget for this. So like I said, I gave this book also a 4 stars. Like I said, it wasn't bad, it wasn't like the best, but it wasn't horrible. It was pretty good. So there is that. And then the next book was part 2 of the Crescent City book, House of Sky and Breath. I gave that one a 4 star as well. It was pretty good, but I think there was some stuff in it where, again, Bryce and Hunt, they're trying to like live a slightly normal life after what happened in the end of the first book. So they're trying to live a normal life, be in a relationship. Hunt's no longer a slave, so he has his freedom, which he hasn't had for hundreds of years. And then they kind of get like roped into this thing where it's kind of almost still being part of a rebellion again, and trying to find this girl and her brother who supposedly have these powers, and who all the other people, all these other people are looking for, trying to find them, trying to stop them, trying to use them, kind of thing. So, it ends. The one thing that made it where I kind of didn't like this one as much as maybe say the first one was, again, it brought up Danica, and it said she had more secrets, and I'm like, this lady is dead. It's been dead for over 2 years. How does she have so much secrets from her best friend, mind you, that this girl has to keep finding? And she, like, the only reason she, like, still agreed to do this is because, again, she's trying to find out the secrets from her best friend that her best friend kept from her. And, like, there's a couple, like, different ones that apparently she didn't tell her best friend. And it's like, if your best friend didn't tell you this, like, were you really best friends? Or did you, like, were you so absorbed in yourself and, like, other things that you didn't notice any of this other stuff? So, there's that. And then, slight spoiler, if you haven't read it, the ending is kind of interesting, but also it's kind of like, it gets you ready for the third book, which I haven't read, but I have. But the ending of this one, The House of Sky and Breath, is basically Bryce ends up somehow transporting to, like, another world / dimension. So she's in another world dimension, and then her brother and Hunt are kind of captured by the Asteri, I think is how they're pronounced. I might be wrong. Asteri. But they're basically captured. They're basically in prison. The Asteri are, like, the gods / like rulers of their whole little area. So they're captured. Don't know what's gonna happen. Have to read the third book to find out. So that was that. And then these ones will probably go by quick because these are ebooks, and some of them are definitely lower than 4 stars because I didn't like them as much. So the next one is called The Keeper. It's by Bella Matthews. This one was about a guy named Easton and Lindy. Did not like her name. Bugged me so bad. And I think that's one thing that made it where I dropped it down a star, is because I just did not like her name at all. But basically, they have history where he basically saved her from, like, a stalker who was stalking her mom and was about to kill her a couple years ago, like several years ago. So they're close. They have feelings for each other, but they don't want to admit it to each other, but their friends, family know, kind of. But Lindy, she's in Vegas for her birthday, celebrating, and she gets married to the Easton guy. She doesn't remember marrying him, but she gets married. He apparently doesn't want to agree to give her the annulment because he says, hey, once you remember us getting married, I'll give it to you if you still want it. And it's like, okay. And, like, he ends up transferring. He's from a hockey team, professional hockey team in another city state. He goes back to the home where she is to, like, try to, like, woo her in a way too, and be like, hey, wife, we're married, let's make this work. And like I said, it was not that great. I give it like a 3 star. It wasn't horrible, but it was like, there's so many family members that you had to, like, try to keep track of. Like, you had this aunt and this aunt, and, like, this was her sister and this was her dad, and, like, uncles and cousins, and, like, there was just so many family members to try to keep up with. It kind of almost seemed like she was just, like, a little bit spoiled rich. Like, she breaks away from her family a little bit to take power and stuff, but, like, she just seemed a little too spoiled and rich to where, again, it was just no. So I gave that one, like I said, a 3 star. It was not the greatest. Not horrible, but not the greatest. Next one was Ice Cold Player by Nikki Hall. That one was a 4 star. Again, this one is also a hockey one. Like I said, I like the hockey ones. I've recently gotten into them not too long ago, but I seem to like them. But there's certain ones where, like I said, it wasn't as much hockey in the last one for The Keeper. This one had more hockey, so I liked it better. So Ice Cold Player is about Gavin and Ava. They're in college. Gavin is an arrogant, broody guy who's trying to basically play on his college team to go and play professionally. He had an issue where he couldn't play because of his twin brother, where they got in trouble. He got kicked off, kind of, so he's trying to earn back that spot on the professional. He thinks Ava is a rich, spoiled princess, basically, but he finds her trying to find a place to live because her daddy basically kicked her out because he wants her to do his stuff. He wants her to go get married, not worry about college, help his image for his political career, and she's like, no. So, basically, Gavin offers her a room at his house with the players. They learn that the things like, he learns she's not just a rich, spoiled princess, and she learns that like what happened in his life and his family, and of course, develop feelings. She's trying to deal again with her dad. He's trying to set her up on dates to get married so she can be a little housewife instead and make his political career image look better. So I gave that one a 4. Like I said, there was some stuff that I liked a lot. Again, it included more hockey playing kind of and like interactions that just, it went well. But it was also set in college, which kind of was a little weird, but still, it went pretty well. So that one, like I said, 4-star. Next one was called No Pucking Way, and it's by C.R. Jane and Mae Dawson. And I read this one. It was not good. It's a 2-star for me. This one had Kennedy, who basically woke up in the hospital with no memory, no idea who she is, where she's from. She was in a coma for like a month, I think it said. And she wakes up. The only reason she knows her name is because she found like a pendant in her thing that has like the name Kennedy in her belongings. But like a year or so later, I believe, she's walking by, she sees a hockey stadium and she feels drawn to it. So she goes, she gets a job there. 3 hockey players on the team there keep staring at her, keep looking at her. They don't talk to her, but they keep looking at her. And she's like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, she doesn't get it. But then there's also this one guy who's like a mysterious, like, bad guy, or like, he's got this aura about him kind of thing. And she's like, she gets drawn to him. And then the 3 hockey players don't like the one bad guy who ends up being a mafia, like, kingpin, like, boss and stuff. She is connected to them all, apparently, and they're all connected to each other, but they don't like each other, they hate each other. She's still trying to find out, like, her memories and how she's connected, because she's getting little snippets when she's with each of them. And basically, like I said, I rated it a 2-star, because at the end, the guys are all fighting, and she, like, goes off, and then, like, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, she, like, gets kidnapped. So that's how it ends, is that she gets kidnapped. She just still doesn't know what happened, doesn't know what's going on. The guys are arguing. It's like so annoying. It was just not worth it. No. So that one. Let's move on. The next one. This was the last book I read in March, and it was called The Cock Down the Block by Amy Ward. This one, first off, was hilarious. I love this book. It was so funny. Basically, this guy, Chris, he's a professional football player now, but he's in his hometown, which is Denver, Colorado, or Colorado. Not sure if it's Denver, but he plays for a Denver football team. Not made up one, not the actual ones. But he plays professional football, but he's in love with this girl, Trixie, and has been since high school, but Trixie turned him down in high school, so he resigned himself to be, like, the best friend buddy, like, always there for her, right? And Trixie, she's a librarian, a curvy librarian, big curvy librarian, and she has chickens, which their names are hilarious. My favorite is the Luke one, because his name is just great. But anyways, she asks Chris to be her fake date to her high school reunion, where basically she has these bullies, the mean girls, and she wants to show up and, like, show them off and be like, ooh, look. So he agrees because he's using it as a ploy to kind of, like, win her over, because he's tired of waiting in a way. He's like, let's risk it. Let's risk it. So then they get together, at her high school reunion. They talk about best feelings and like, oh, let's be together, right? But then there's like this big scandal that they have to get over, and all this little drama and stuff in between. And it's a pretty good book. Like I said, it had like some funny lines. It's nice. He has a really good family, and like I said, she's nice, she's funny, like realistic, down to earth kind of thing. So I gave that one a 4-star. Like I said, like that one. There's another book, I think, that has to do with one of his brothers, because he has a big family, lots of brothers, and a sister. So this series might have like more, but like there's only one more right now, so I'm probably gonna read that one. But overall, yeah. So like I said, a lot of them were ebooks. A lot of them weren't too bad. There were a few, like I said, 3-star, 2-stars that were like, eh. Those are my March reads. Tell me if you've read any of those, if you agree about what I rated them, if you like them. And then give me some ideas for April. If you have some books that you're going to read in April, maybe I will read them as well. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!